Hello, I'm Professor Kathy Armour, Pro-Vice Chancellor for Education here at the University of Birmingham. I'd like to introduce my panel of students today.
Hi guys, I'm Rumali and I study Politics and International Relations here at Birmingham.
I'm Beth and I study English Literature.
And I'm Harvey and I study German Studies.
So, my first question, don't think about Birmingham so much, I want you to think about just being a student. What's the best thing about being a student?
I'll kick off, it's the independence for me. I like, as sad as it is to leave home, it is also fun to be able to kind of call your own shots completely, and your parents to an extent know what you're doing, but it is definitely fun to just be able to rule your own world, which is, I say I enjoy the most about being a student.
Lots of nodding heads there.
Yeah, agree. I think also I'd say you just meet such a huge range of people that I live in quite a small town, so to come to just a bigger place and to just meet loads of people is really exciting, and people you would never otherwise have crossed paths with. So I think that's cool.
And I think you get a lot of opportunities that you would never get outside of the university. So just, even if it's just the social things like Beth mentioned, but also things like career opportunities and volunteering and societies, there's so much to do. It's really, really good for us to develop ourselves outside of our studies as well.
So why did you choose the University of Birmingham?
For me, I think it was the course itself was sort of most suited to what I wanted to do. So it was really flexible. There was a really good range of options. The tutors were all really friendly on open days, and they asked you lots of questions, and they seemed genuinely interested in why you wanted to study languages and why you wanted to come to Birmingham. So it was sort of the open vibe in the department, and the way that they taught was really good for me.
Yeah, actually mine's a really similar answer. I actually loved the course so much that I put Birmingham down as my choice for uni. I hadn't visited yet, I couldn't make the open day, but the course sounded so good, and English literature varies quite a lot uni to uni, and this one you got loads of options. It was all really interesting topics and current, and felt so relevant that it really grabbed me a lot more than any of the other courses I read about. So, and then I did visit and also love the uni.
I'm going to go for a different option. I mean, I also fell in love with my course, absolutely, but my sister came to this university, and so just visiting her, just walking around the campus, it's absolutely beautiful. We are so lucky with our campus, and I just felt, we were talking about that feeling you get, and I was just like, I can see myself doing this. I absolutely loved it, just got that feeling. And the city itself as well, Birmingham is such a cool place, and I was like, I want to be here. So yeah, I would say campus, city and course, so 3 C's.
You could feel yourself here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that happens on open day. And now you've had some experience here. If you had to identify the best thing about actually being a student here, what would it be?
I think for me, I always feel like there's such a everyone's welcome feeling here. It feels very open, it feels very non-judgmental, everyone is lovely, and you really get that feeling of, I can't explain it, but you just feel very welcomed here, which I love. I was very proud to be from this uni as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think similarly, people I've met on my course, we really bonded as like a cohort, and that was really lovely to actually, in seminars when you're learning and doing all these things, but actually there was just such a nice atmosphere. People weren't afraid to ask questions or say things they think might be a bit silly, because actually you were all seeing each other outside of seminars and getting on and proofreading each other's coursework for each other, and it was such a collaborative atmosphere rather than maybe A-levels, which feels a bit more like you're all head to head. It's a nicer environment to work.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely really feel that here.
Yeah.
I think for me, Birmingham is a nice mix of a campus university and almost also a city university, because you're just so close to the city centre, but you've still got this fantastic campus with loads of facilities, but it's still just 10 minutes away from the city centre if you just need to have an escape for an hour or two. So I love the balance of the student life. And
I think as you go through your course, actually, as you mature more, probably the city offers increasing opportunities that you don't always see when you first come. Yeah, that's a good point. Here's a tough question. How have you personally changed or developed since you started at university?
Oh.
I told you that was a tough one.
I think I'm a lot more disciplined. I think I've learnt how to control my study habits and sort of make sure I've got a routine. I think.
Can you pass some tips on to me?
I'm
still learning.
I'm not saying it's successful all the time, but I sort of know how to learn for myself a bit more when I've sort of seen that improvement in my studies, I think.
Yeah, I sort of similar. I was a bit of a nightmare during A-levels. I was so stressed and didn't cope with them very well. So I think my uni experience has been a lot of me trying to manage stress and workload. And I love my course, but I take it very seriously because of that. And I can put a lot of pressure on myself. So I think my uni experience has been me still trying to do well, but not crushing myself with stress.
Which is really important for when you go into work. To
Yeah,
learn
just
that
general
skill.
life, it's important.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
A-levels was not good for that for me. So that was, coming into uni, that was what I knew I needed to work on. So
Yeah, I think mine's answer very similar to yours. I think I've just been able to put life into perspective a lot more, because you get so stressed out about work, and sometimes I just stand back and think, no, you're doing a course that you're meant to be enjoying this, you're learning,
Yeah.
it's meant to be fun. And so I think I've learned to put less pressure on myself and actually realise that I chose to do this and I love it, and it shouldn't be something that I'm super, super stressed about.
And it goes so fast.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you really need
Very
to.
fast,
Yeah. I'm interested to know whether you feel, I mean, you're adults when you come to university, and I'm interested to know whether you feel that you're treated as an adult learner at university.
Definitely, I would say so. I think the biggest, not surprise, but going from school, and especially my school, it was teachers were very heavily involved, and whereas when you come to uni, it's completely on your own. You know, no one's going to be on your back to do this. If you're not going to do it for yourself, it's not going to happen. So I feel like that's very, adulty. So yeah, absolutely, I would say so.
yeah, I think sort of similar, but if you need support, like my tutors have been really useful when I have been stressed to go to them, but it's having to make that initial move to go to them. There isn't someone who's going to see you're looking sad in class and be like, what's going on? You need to go and ask for the help that you need, and that's quite an adult skill, I think, because in schools it's a lot closer, smaller environment for people, and yeah, I guess that's more their role, is to look after your well-being as well, whereas here there are welfare tutors and things you can go to, but I think going to them is required more. But that's important, because you should be able to ask for help if you need it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It feels a lot, you get a bit of a professional sort of feel when you join as a student. You know, you sort of learn how to, it sounds a bit stupid, but referring to your teachers by their first name is not something that comes naturally. So coming into university and sort of treating, your tutors as colleagues, which is what we were sort of referred to. We were referred to as their colleagues as well. So I think that's the big change, is that you are independent, but they're still there, but they are aware that this is a more sort of professional environment, because it is a workplace as well for lots of people. So it's that mix, I think.
It's kind of a bridge between school that's a really good point. Looking back now, if you were applying for universities, you were doing all those open days or not, if you were going to give some advice to somebody who's in that round now, in that stage of their life, what would it be?
For me, probably it'd be like, everything happens for a reason. I think in terms of, I've just wrote a blog post actually recently about when you don't get the results you wanted. I had that with my AS results. It's not, the jump up from GCSE to AS was something I wasn't ready for, clearly, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. And I was absolutely devastated, because I thought I was going to go straight from school, straight into uni, and that I didn't want to apply to any unis with the grades that I had. So I took a gap year, and at that time I wasn't considering Birmingham really. It was because my sister went, and then I was trying to be different. and then in that time I just fell completely in love with it. And now the thought of me ever considering not coming here is honestly scary. So if things don't work out exactly to plan, trust that it is meant for a reason. I think that would be my advice.
I think doing what you love is probably the main thing, because you put a lot of effort into it. It's a big thing, lots of people move quite far away from home, so there's no point in forcing yourself to do something because of other people's expectations or what you think you need to do. I'm doing an arts degree, so it's not necessarily something that, like a law degree or a medicine degree where you go into a job straight away, but I'm doing something that I want to do because I enjoy it, and that is really what universities should be about, as well as everything else.
And of course, if you enjoy what you do, you'll do well, and then you'll progress well.
Absolutely.
I sort of just the same what these guys have said. Love what you do, and it is you that is going to be doing it at the end of the day. So I do English literature, and yes, my family make a lot of jokes about my degree. Love them, but like I love it, and I would not change it, even though it's not a vocational degree, and people make jokes. But that's as long as you love it, and it's so much easier to write assignments and do the research and do the reading when it's something you're interested in.
Yeah.
And the leaving uni salary on whatever statistic website isn't the same as if I did chemical engineering, but I would fail at chemical engineering. And I don't think I'd enjoy that. So I wouldn't change it, but do what you love, I think, is probably my biggest advice.
Is there anything that surprised you about university life that you didn't expect?
Yes, when I first joined, I had a gap year as well, and I was so surprised how many people had done that. Because people had said to me when I was doing that, you're not going to want to go back, and you'll be older than everyone else in your year. One, no one notices if you're older. I look younger than everyone because I'm 5 foot and like tiny. And in my flat of 5, 3 of us had taken a year out after A-levels. And loads of people I met. So I think that was nice for me, because after everyone telling me that you're not going to want to go back to uni and you're going to be older, actually it made literally zero difference.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think it surprised me that it was nowhere near as stressful as I thought it would be. I think you look at university and you think it's a super, super scary thing, and you're like, I remember when my sister was here, I was like, oh my gosh, like how am I ever going to be able to do these, like handing in assignments and stuff like that. It really isn't stressful or scary at all. You just fit right in and it works. So that was probably the biggest surprise for me.
I think for me the stereotype of student life didn't really sort of apply to me, so people just going out drinking 6 or 7 nights a week, it doesn't really happen like that. It doesn't matter if you don't drink, and it doesn't matter if you're not a big party person. There's still so much going on that you can do, and you can fit in with people that have the same interests as you. So that shocked me a little bit, to know the extent of what's out there for people that
variety.
don't.
It's absolutely huge, and it is a stereotype, and it's an unfair stereotype too. Okay, so what's the most interesting thing you've learned about your academic subject?
So studying English literature, I think people, old books, Shakespeare, especially in Birmingham and stuff, all these sort of old things come to mind. But actually what I've really loved about the course here is we've done a lot of digital cultures and modern medias that has really made it seem a lot more contemporary and relevant. So we had our dissertation research day the other day, and people were presenting their research papers on movies and social media and all these things that count as literature today, that when literature courses first became a thing, weren't even remotely considered. So I think what's exciting about Birmingham is how modern the course is as well. You do medieval literature and things as well, but actually you bring it right up to very much today. And that's really exciting to me. So I think that counts as literature is really cool.
Yeah,
I think
blogs are literature.
I think I'm going to do the opposite of Beth and say that one of the things that attracted me to Birmingham was the opportunity to do medieval literature, which is not offered in modern languages degrees at many universities, I think. So I did a mini research project this year on medieval German literature. I think me and my supervisor counted, I think it's taught at 5 universities across the country. So it's the best thing for me about Birmingham is how specialised the research is, and it still feels like it's meaningful because you still have, text to study, and you still can sort of connect with the themes on some sort of level. So it's, for me, the breadth of study has been really, really useful to me to try things that I would never have tried a few years ago. So the opposite of what Beth said, but it just goes to show, I think.
Yeah, well, absolutely, there's a lesson there.
Yeah.
I think for me the most interesting thing I found about my course as a whole, to be honest, I had a feminism and politics module, and that was just absolutely amazing. But specifically, I think just finding out about sexism in language is it's something that you really don't notice until you clock in. You're like, oh my goodness, and that was really eye-opening, interesting, and I love that module as a whole, but that really stood out for me, that learning about that. Yeah.
So you've now had a chance to experience a fair few lecturers here at the university. What makes a great teacher for you at university level?
Approachability and being able to understand the position the students are in. I think those two, which I've been lucky enough to have with my lecturers, but if you feel like you can't talk to them and get advice, then it makes things a lot harder. So that's what I would say.
Approachability.
Definitely.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true, and even a lot of my course is seminar-based, and if the lecturer is approachable and friendly and feels encouraging, then people are so much more willing to answer questions and get involved. Otherwise, people are scared to be wrong, and especially in first year, I think when everyone's a bit nervous about like, oh, do I quite fit in here? Because it's all so new, actually having just someone say, there's literally anything you say goes, it's fine, just give it a shot. A quiet seminar is awful, no one learns anything. So so I'd say, being approachable and friendly, and you can tell when the teacher really wants you to learn, and that's makes you want to learn. So I think that's really important.
That's your colleague point again, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it's like collaborative. It is. It really is.
I think on that point, someone who knows how to give you criticism in a way that's helpful. So people that ask you questions that are designed to make you think, but are designed to help you. They're designed to sort of guide you in the right direction and help you find your ideas. Is, I think, better than someone who just sort of dictates and just sort of leads seminars and things. I think people who are interactive and get you involved as much as they're involved really sort of help the experience, like Beth was saying about quiet seminars. That helps so much to have someone who's there helping you to learn more so than just sort of standing there.
I can't imagine a quiet seminar with you three in it. I just can't imagine it. Is there anything you would change about the way you're taught? Or does it work for you?
For me, it works. Nothing would come to mind in terms of changing it. I think it's a very easy, well, not easy, it definitely gets hard, but it works for me,
Other than the fact that I wish I'd learnt Portuguese, I think it's all great. I think it's great, yeah.
And is there anything you change about you as a learner?
I don't think I need to leave everything to the last minute. I think I could start a little bit earlier sometimes, that I could change that, but probably.
If I don't have a routine, I don't really have motivation. I struggle to find it, so revision is quite difficult. So that would be nice. If I could adapt to not having sort of get up at 11 or get out of the house for 11, go to seminar at 12 and do this then and this then. So I think learning how to cope without that would be good.
Yeah, I quite like a routine though.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I need a routine to...
I think that's a good thing, to have a routine, like work with a routine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wish when I don't have a routine...
If you could still work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like outside, like during exam periods when you're not sort of going to seminars.
Oh,
so you don't have the structure around it.
Yeah, self-motivation.
Oh, okay.
It's difficult.
That's fair. I tend to think I can do too much and be like, I will read all of these things, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, no, that's not going to happen. So I think I need to be better at prioritising. So that would be mine.
Do any of you write a to-do list even when you've done things, just so you can tick them off?
Yes.
Okay, that's a normal thing. Thinking about the support you receive here at the university, I mean, does it work? Is there anything we need to do better, in your view, in terms of supporting you?
Well, you had the question earlier about like mental health support for students, and in first year, that was a real hit to me, meeting so many people who really needed support, and these are people you don't know that well, and actually you're thrown into it sometimes a bit with not knowing how to help people as best you can. But the uni really did try, but I think you're right. I think it's all a new conversation really that people are having, but I just think keeping that going. They did a lot during like mental health awareness week and stuff.
Absolutely.
Just because it's so common among students for students to be struggling with all sorts of mental illnesses, and I just think people need to be able to feel like they can talk about it with their professors and their lecturers and stuff, because it affects your learning, it really does. And just being able to be open and frank about that without it needing to be just, referring to counselling or whatever, just to be able to say, I'm having a really tough week, if I'm quiet, this is why, or those sort of things. And I think that probably comes back to the approachable factor, that when there's that environment, people are willing to talk. And I think our blog posts everyone was very open during Mental Health Awareness Week about what we'd all gone through. And I think that is important too. So I think, spreading the word more in terms of mental health.
I would say that I feel like this university does do a lot for support. This is going to sound like such a superficial answer, but it's even in terms of the welfare services. We are sent possibly a daily email saying exactly the hours that you can come in, drop in. You don't need an appointment, just come in and speak to us, and just, you don't really have to go far to know that there are people here to help. So I think, because sometimes you think, oh, you know, am I being silly? Like, other people have real problems, like things like that. But just knowing that these are the times you come in, you speak to us, and that's that. And I think that is, like, for me, I think that's a really, really good thing. Really important.
Yeah. I think that's the same for us. Our school welfare system works really, really well at encouraging us to go and speak to them and talk to people. And they're really, really friendly people. They're really, really good tutors. So.
And I think that's helpful having it per department, because the big welfare overarching, like, can seem like a lot, and like you say, am I just being silly? Am I wasting people's time? Which you're not at all, but I can totally see why people would feel that. Whereas,
it's
we
a bit
get
more familiar as
welfare emails from our home department, and you know where they are, and you get all their emails, and they do talks early on in first year, so you know the faces, so it's less intimidating. So I think, put the departmental welfare systems would be really helpful.
And I really like the point about being able to talk. That's absolutely critical, isn't it? Just being able to talk. Okay. Do you already know what you want to do after you graduate, or are you still thinking about it? Remembering I said you shouldn't rush into any decisions earlier, so you don't have to know.
And it's a bit awkward for me being in second year because I'm going on a year abroad, so a lot of people are now looking at postgrad, but I've got that extra year. But I'm considering going down the academic route, so I'm just starting to get ideas about potential courses and funding and things like that. So that's where I want to end up. I think PhD is the goal, and then academic career at some point.
Interesting.
I wish I had an answer for you. Just so that I wouldn't have to struggle with this question every time. I don't know. I just came back from a year abroad, so all my friends are graduating and masters or going into work and moving home. And they're all saying, this will be you next year. And I'm like, oh no. So I don't know, but everything happens for a reason. It will work out.
Exactly.
I'm a bit different. I've known what I wanted to do since I was like 6. So I want to go into broadcast journalism. So anything with a camera, here I am today, is for me, hopefully. So I'm discovering that it's quite a hard industry to penetrate. It's a lot about connections, which is sad, but hopefully this won't be the last time you see this face.
Excellent. I'm sure it won't be. Is there anything that you haven't done here at the university that you really still want to do? Like join the hang gliding club or something?
I think I haven't stuck with societies as much as I should have done. So I had a secretary role this year, but in first year and second year I didn't really sort of get involved with many societies. So I went to a couple of meetings, but I never really sort of carried on. And I think it would be nice to, in final year when I come back, to actually join a society and commit to it and have that regular thing with people with shared interests. So that's my goal, I think.
And it is actually to have any organisational role in the student society is a major preparation for life. Herding students is quite something.
It was quite difficult sometimes.
Yes, so you learn skills that employers just love if you do that kind of thing, because they know how hard it is.
Mine is to appreciate the city more. I just had my year abroad and I was in Boston, and every weekend we did things we'd never done before because everything was so exciting because I was in a different country. And the most touristy stuff I did in Birmingham, I did 2 months before I knew I was going to America, because I was like, I haven't enjoyed the city and I'm about to leave it for a year. So I think it's really made me think, actually, I've lived in this city for 2 years and I don't think I've made as much of it as I could have. So that is my goal for the next year, is to just enjoy Birmingham as a city and the surrounding areas too a lot more.
Absolutely. I think my answer is similar to Harvey. I really want to be on Valefest committee next year. It's Europe's largest student-run festival. It's a big deal and it's so much fun. And so I'd love to be able to be part of the team that helps put that together. So hopefully I'll do that,
That would be really good. Yeah, that would be good. And we've got somebody who's just been on a year abroad and somebody who's about to go on a year abroad. So, Harvey, when you look ahead at your year abroad, what are you thinking?
Help.
You'll be fine.
I think it's because it's been so far in the distance.
It's Germany, isn't it?
It's Germany. Yeah. It's been so far in the distance, and now I've booked flights. I've got a language course. I've got my accommodation sorted, and it's just becoming real now. So I'm really excited though to get involved and explore the region, because I'm quite lucky to be near the French and Swiss border as well. So I've got a big 2-month break between the semesters, so hopefully exploring a lot of Europe that I haven't been to will be at the top of the agenda. But getting to know Germany a bit more as well, and speaking it properly and using it. So that would be nice. I am excited,
Brilliant.
I promise.
Yeah. I'm actually quite excited for you.
Thank you.
And you've come the other side, you've been to Boston. And
so now I'm just jealous that you're just about to go.
And when you look back, what's the big thing about the year abroad that...
I just had these moments when I was just walking around and I'd just be like, I'm in America. And like that just happened the whole time. Like, and I'd just be walking and just think, I'm in Boston. This is so crazy. And it's such a supported environment to move across the Atlantic Ocean is a pretty big deal. I felt like it was a big deal. But because it's within that university sphere, it was a supported way of doing that. So you got all the excitement of living somewhere new and meeting new people in a different country. No language barrier, mostly.
Yeah, not in theory anyway.
In theory, no language barrier. But you got, just the excitement of everything just is on a different level just because you're in a different country. Just going for coffee is exciting because you're in America. Right? Like, and travel, definitely travel, because it's just so worth it. And Massachusetts is near a bunch of other states, so it was easy to travel. So if you're near like other borders, just do it, because when else are you gonna be in that situation to be able to do that? And it's so worth it.
And that's all part of that, university is about investing in yourself, really, taking that time to do things that later in life I think it's probably more difficult to do. Okay, so I have one final question. This is payback time. What time does your alarm go off in the morning?
I don't have one.
Great answer.
A bit later than usually.
5:30.
A bit later than 5:30, and normally later than the time I got up this morning to do this. So.
See, I'm quite an early riser, so my alarm was set for 6 this morning, but I woke up at 5:40. But I just am not very good at lying in, even when I'm tired, so it's not really a good thing.
I'm normally awake for Homes Under the Hammer, but I think that's probably the upper barrier of my...
Such a wholesome guy.
You are so wholesome.
Well, thank you very much. It's been an absolute joy talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.